you have several questions. So the first one is increased mortality rates in the U.S. are in part related to the increased rates of advanced maternal age. Are there expected to be any significant cardiac changes associated with age in 30s and 40s? If so, how to take that into account in models and animal studies? Dr. Bill Williams.
Yeah, sure. So that's an interesting question. So in terms of significant cardiac changes with 30s and 40s, I haven't seen anything in the literature yet, but people do talk about how pregnancy can sometimes act as a first cardiac stress test for young women. So most of the cardiac changes I've seen in the literature occur postmenopausal. So in these cases, these mothers cannot get pregnant because they're undergoing menopause. But I think as more research is being conducted in some of these mothers with advanced maternal age, I think that we will understand a little bit more about what's happening in these patients. And then depending on what that data says, I think we'll have to think about how to take those changes into account in the model. So whether it's on the mechanical side, so understanding hemodynamics, or more on the signaling hypertrophy side.
Okay, thanks. And the next question, very elegant modeling. A key strength of your modeling is its simplicity. On place where you avoid simplicity is your detailed discretization of the heart. How important is this detail? Could you capture the same physics using cylindrical heart chambers? Thanks, Guy.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting point that we think about in our lab a lot. And so going forward, what I think I'm actually going to focus a little bit more on is including more complexity on the cell signaling side. And the reason for that is a little bit twofold. So one is that I don't expect that with pregnancy, the hypertrophy that we care about is regionally variable. So I think wherever you look in the heart, I think that we will see similar differences in growth. And so for this reason, I want to actually keep working with a compartmental model just because we only have to, it's basically having like one element instead of thousands of elements as you would have in a finite element model. Yeah, so I think that's where the details are really going to be impactful for this research is on the cell signaling side. And I guess we could use a cylindrical heart chamber, but even more simpler than that, we're just using a thin-walled sphere right now. So maybe I'll think a little bit more about increasing the complexity to a cylindrical heart in the future. Yeah, thanks.
I guess I'll take one more question. Is a great talk indeed. Each presenter did a very good job. Excuse me. I'm interested in the role of obesity. Have you investigated the impact of pregnancy on the mechanical and biological models?
So I have not looked at the role of obesity yet. So I'm really interested in, so this is kind of a first approach in really trying to understand these interactions. And in the future, I'm really hoping that we can extend some of these models to include other factors such as obesity and also inflammation, I think is something that will be really interesting to incorporate in the future. So the short answer is no, I have not investigated the impact of obesity yet.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Kyoko, and thank you to all the speakers.